The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
On this episode of the Wild Palm Beaches, we're going to dive into the underwater world of marine megafauna and discover the graceful manta rays that frequent the coastline of the Palm Beaches. We'll get up close and personal with these magnificent creatures and meet the people that have dedicated their research to helping these amazing animals. Their pioneering work aims to fill knowledge gaps in manta ray life history, provide data to government agencies, identify critical habitats, and promote conservation and awareness. Join us as we embark on a journey into the liquid frontier of the Wild Palm Beaches. Ecotourism is big business in Palm Beach County. From lions to loggerheads, our resident wildlife population is one of the things that makes the Palm Beaches a special place to visit. Aquatic adventures let you see our majestic sea turtles and tropical fish in living color, while our zoos, wildlife parks, and natural areas give you an up-close look at everything from rhinos to alligators. It is here that nature is on full display. It's like nowhere else in the world. As one of the largest counties east of the Mississippi, we have lots of room to explore the wild animal encounters that are seemingly endless in the Palm Beaches. Ever wished you could swim with dolphins or get up close to a manatee? In the Palm Beaches, you can. From the Florida Everglades and the Loxahatchee River to the Intracoastal Waterway and the Atlantic Ocean, take a walk on the wild side and discover the great outdoors in a tropical paradise. Join me, James Curry, as we discover the Wild Palm Beaches. Manta rays are the largest rays in the world. They're highly intelligent and highly threatened. These charismatic sea creatures live in tropical, subtropical, and temperate ocean waters across the globe. Manta means blanket or cloak in Spanish, describing the look of the animal's large, flat, diamond-shaped bodies, which are characterized by triangular pectoral fins. Manta rays have two horn-shaped fins protruding from their heads, which have given them the popular name devilfish. For decades, scientists thought there was just one species of manta ray. But in 2008, researchers discovered that there are actually two distinct species: the reef manta, which tends to live along coastlines in the Indo-Pacific, and the giant ocean manta ray, which lives in all the world's major oceans, spending most of its time far from land. But research has also indicated that there is possibly a third species that frequents the coastal waters right along the Palm Beaches. While the smaller reef manta ray has an impressive wingspan of up to 11 feet, the oceanic manta ray, the largest manta in the world, has an incredible wingspan of up to 29 feet. Manta rays are creatures of perpetual motion. This means they need to keep water flowing through their gills for their entire lives. Manta rays' gills pull the oxygen from the water and allow them to breathe. Another interesting fact is that manta rays have a top speed in the water of 25 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, Michael Phelps, when he's swimming, doesn't even top 5 miles per hour. Manta rays have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any cold-blooded fish. Studies have shown that manta rays may recognize themselves in the mirror, an ability indicative of high cognitive function, also shown by dolphins, primates, elephants, and ourselves. Studies have also shown that manta rays are able to create mental maps of their environment through smell and visual cues, indicating highly developed long-term memory, and they can live for up to 50 years. Despite their enormous size, manta rays feed on tiny creatures. They are filter feeders and they typically feed on zooplankton, such as segmented worms and shrimp-like crustaceans. Here in the Palm Beaches, we are really lucky to have these seasonal visitors frequent our shores.
The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
Jessica Pate started the Florida Manta Project in 2016, and her research aims to fill knowledge gaps in manta ray ecology and biology, whilst raising awareness of manta conservation.
My name is Jessica Pate. I'm the lead scientist and founder of the Florida Manta Project with the Marine Megafauna Foundation. The Marine Megafauna Foundation is a global organization, and our mission is to save ocean giants from extinction. So we focus on studying mostly manta rays and whale sharks, but we also study a lot of other species like marlin and bull sharks and guitarfish and sea turtles. Manta rays are just a really cool part of the Wild Palm Beaches.
Jessica and her team utilize a wide array of research techniques, including in-water photography, drones, aerial surveys, and satellite and acoustic telemetry to study the biology and ecology of Florida manta rays. They see almost exclusively juvenile manta rays in South Florida that regularly use the same sites, indicating that South Florida is a rare manta ray nursery habitat. A seasonal aggregation of adult manta rays visits the Atlantic coast of Central and South Florida each spring.
Our main research focus is in Palm Beach County, Florida. And what we've discovered here is a rare nursery habitat for juvenile manta rays. This is really cool. There are not very many nursery habitats known in the world, and this is an area where young or baby manta rays can safely mature into adulthood.
The Marine Megafauna Foundation began a study of this manta aggregation in 2021, using aerial surveys to understand the manta ray's spatial and temporal distribution, as well as the environmental drivers of the aggregation.
We study a population of juvenile manta rays here in South Florida, and in general the manta rays we see are about 8 to 10 feet across, which are still juvenile manta rays. One of our most common survey methods is to go out on the boat, looking with our eyes or looking with our drone for mantas swimming along the coastline. Once we find a manta ray, we get in the water with it and try to take photos. A unique thing about manta rays is that they have a spot pattern on their belly that is unique to each individual. So it's like a fingerprint in humans. So if we get a photo of that spot pattern on their belly, we can identify which individual is which. All of our work in water here is done free diving. We typically see the mantas very shallow, so we do not need to use scuba tanks. And we typically use a GoPro on a long extended pole, and we make a dive down with the manta rays and reach under them to get the ID shot of their belly pattern. We also do surveys in a small plane. This helps us cover a lot more ground than we are able to in a boat. So these surveys allow us to go all the way from Stewart down to Fort Lauderdale.
Heading up in a small plane from Lantana Airport, we flew over the Palm Beaches, and the scenery from up there is just so stunning. You've got these incredibly beautiful waters and these giant manta rays, which are actually very easy to spot from the air.
So this is very similar to the altitude that we fly at in the transects we fly when we're doing our aerial surveys. A drone is a really important tool for doing our research. The drones help us locate the mantas, and the drones also help us observe behavior. We recently published a paper that shows how we can look at the different ways manta rays swim between when they're feeding and when they're traveling, and we did all of this just by observing them from a drone.
So from the boat, we'll get the drone ready, we'll pop it up into the air, and we'll locate them with the drone and then move in on the boat. But then once the drone has come back to the boat, we need to keep a very good eye on their movements because they can disappear very suddenly. Manta rays in South Florida live close to large urban centers and are unfortunately frequently seen entangled in fishing lines and with injuries from boat propellers. Surveys of recreational shore-based anglers indicate that most of these entanglements are accidental.
There are a lot of recreational vessels and anglers out in Florida, and they are interacting with the manta rays that we see here.
Boat and drone surveys allow them to identify individuals, document behavior, and quantify human impacts. The researchers collect genetic samples to investigate the connectivity between the adult mantas in central Florida and the juveniles further south.
So we use both acoustic and satellite telemetry to study the manta rays here. How acoustic telemetry works is we have receivers set up along the coast. Some are run by us and some are run by other researchers, which we collaborate with the FACT network to all share data. And if a manta has a tag on and swims by one of these receivers, the tag sends a noise, like a little ping signal to the receiver, and that receiver will download the time and the day when the manta ray was in that location. I started out my career studying sea turtles, and how I got interested in manta rays was each morning I would come out on the beach and ride my ATV and count the sea turtle tracks from the morning before. So I was out on the beach all day, every day. Sometimes I would look over in the water and see a manta ray swimming by, and I couldn't believe that we had manta rays in Florida and that no one knew anything about them. So at the time, this was over 10 years ago, I convinced someone to take me out on the boat, and I got to swim with my very first manta. And on this encounter, the manta did the curious behavior where she flipped upside down and checked me out. And I just had no idea that this kind of animal behavior was possible and that an animal would exhibit that kind of curiosity to something in the water. And I was just immediately in love and wanted to know as much as I could about these animals.
The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
I've had the opportunity to join Jessica on several occasions to explore manta rays from above and below. And I can tell you something, there's nothing more exhilarating than plunging into the watery world of these incredible species. A manta ray sighting is one of the most breathtaking experiences a diver can have.
I've been doing this project for 6 years now, but every time I spot a manta ray, I get just as excited as I did when I saw that first manta ray. When you first get in the water, it's so exciting to be in the water with a creature that's that big, yet still a baby. And often these young mantas are very curious. Sometimes they will swim up to you, or they will flip upside down, where they can see you better looking from their belly, and they'll just have a look at you and say, "Hey, what's up?" And it's one of the coolest feelings in the world. I've gotten to know the mantas here personally, and often when I jump in and I can take a look at that spot pattern, I know exactly who that manta is without having to go back and look at my computer database.
Divers come from all over the world to dive the magnificent coral reefs of the Palm Beaches. Whilst diving, keep your eye out for the magnificent manta ray. A sighting is one of the most breathtaking experiences a diver can have. Watching such an enormous creature glide through the water with such grace and effortlessness, it's easy to fall under the manta's spell. Unfortunately for manta rays, there is a belief in Chinese medicine that the manta can heal all sorts of diseases. This has put manta rays in a really bad position. They are often rounded up and killed for their gill rakers. This is a major blow to the manta ray population. There has been no scientific proof of any kind that the gill raker has any medicinal purpose whatsoever. In 2018, manta rays were added to the US Endangered Species Act as a threatened species. But there is still insufficient data to determine critical habitat for manta rays. The Florida Manta Project is the first dedicated study of Florida's manta rays. The efforts of Jessica and her team are so important in helping us understand these enigmatic creatures that are a vital part of the wild Palm Beaches.
The Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches.
Let's get wild in the Palm Beaches!
Hey everybody, I'm Benji Stute with Palm Beach County's Environmental Resources Management. I'm here with Donnell McCant. Donnell, how's it going, man?
It's going great.
All right, so we're here at Winding Waters Natural Area for the Natural Areas Festival. And Donnell, this festival is a little different, right? It's not just about the vendors and the food trucks, it's about exploration.
Definitely about exploration. It's about everybody coming together from different walks of life and experiencing true adventure together.
Yeah, and so today we've got guided paddle tours, guided hikes. We're gonna put prescribed fire on the ground. We're gonna have native wildlife presentations. There's so much to explore. And Donnell, you brought some special people with you, right?
Yes, I brought my 4 sons with me, and things like this is definitely about getting a wide range of family members together, not just the older people, not just the middle age, but the young people, getting them into nature earlier. The earlier they're exposed, the greater chance we have of preserving our environment.
Right, exactly, and it's that connection. You and I talked about this before, right?
Yes.
It's the connection to nature, but it's also the connection that we create when we're outdoors together, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Donnell, you know what time it is.
I know what time it is.
It's time to get wild.
In the Palm Beaches.
Let's go. There you are. You're all set. Right past you guys.
Benji's coming through, and then we can really get some paddling action in.
So Donnell, what we did here is this place was covered with exotics, and we had to remove all of those, but there was still some really good native vegetation all throughout the site. You kind of see that. There's cypress trees, there's pines, there's palms. And so we kind of strategically designed the wetland restoration so that we would save these pockets of good native habitat. And that's kind of what turned into these islands. Okay guys, so we're gonna stop paddling right here so everybody can see this. There's an alligator right in front of us. Yeah, check this out. That looks like a pretty good size one.
That's a nice size.
He might be up in the 8 or 9 feet.
Yep, definitely.
You guys see him? So guys, this is a great time to talk about alligators because this is the size of alligator that, you know, we need to really pay attention to. You know, I say that I'm not worried about alligators out here, but that's because of my knowledge, and I know what to look for, I know what to watch out for. It also helps out that we're very big animals that are in very big boats, and so we look even bigger than we actually are. So if anybody's got polarized glasses on, there's some nice sized bass in here. There's a lot of turtles. Some really cool stuff to see if you come back and paddle yourself. All right, guys, here's the adventure part. All right, guys, so when we get back, we're gonna pretty much paddle back nice and leisurely. I want you guys to focus on being present, okay? I love to try to encourage that when we're out in the natural areas. Focus on what you can hear, focus on what you can smell, focus on what you can feel. Put your fingers in the water, all right? When we do that, when we unlock all these senses, it just makes the experience so much more impactful.